And waiting for that live. Javid, Javid, this is your grandmother. Pick up the phone. All right. Hamin Army, welcome back. Episode number 4. Hey, we're hitting that 1 month anniversary. Here we go. And what better way to celebrate than making this extra handicap accessible? Both of our pro HMG Pro Handicappers extraordinaire back in the house, of course, on that order to V. Richard Bronson Vickery. You see on the other side of the top screen there, he is the Florida man, the knockout king. Last weekend, definitely knocking them out, baby. Getting that green. The Florida man, Mr. John Hartnett. And then down below, that Vicker, the guy that struggled on Saturday but found his way, got moving and grooving on Sunday Fun Day, getting back into that NFL groove. Mr. JayB, gentlemen, thank you for joining us again here. Bottom Line Sports Talk. We got a lot to run down. There is a lot going on, a stacked weekend. I want to jump right into it. Let's tee it up, baby. Hartnett, you were weary about this one, so I'm going to let the man step up to the tee box down there below. JayB, President's Cup golf action coming at us.
Yeah, the President's Cup's coming this week. I just want to preface by saying, last episode I said I'd rather watch paint dry than watch baseball. I'm going to go ahead and follow up that saying I'd rather watch baseball than golf.
Wow, man. Hey, you just angered. You angered the pups. You got to settle down there, JayB. I actually was telling Hartnett here before we hit the live button. I'm not much for one going out and hitting the link, spending the day out there on the course, but I absolutely love it. One of my favorite pastimes, just sitting down with, God rest his soul, the greatest Cincinnati bus driver that ever lived. So great that they named a street after him upon his retirement. But man, he loved golf, and we could just turn the volume off, and I could just listen to him on his commentary. Man, I absolutely love watching the game. But a big event coming up with the President's Cup.
Yeah, so just for those that don't know, the President's Cup is typically Team USA versus Team World minus European players. So it's international players minus Europe. Europe and USA have their own cup. They call it the Ryder Cup. But I'm going to prove this week that you don't have to know anything about sports to bet sports. It's a lot of analytics. It's a lot of data. And that's what I'm going by. For someone that has bet on women's tennis in Egypt at 2:30 in the morning and Korean soccer, that's where analytics come in. I can't name a player, but I can talk analytics. So let me talk some analytics.
You know what? I have felt pretty bad at those same times where you're saying 2:30, 3 a.m. in the morning. I've been in the gutter with just a sip of whiskey left. Just trying to get that out of the bottom of that fifth there, buddy. Maybe a couple cans of beer left. And I thought I was pretty bad, but you have set a new bar here, or a new bottom line, if you will, for how to spend your 2:30 a.m.
Hartnett will tell you, bro, that's degen life all day. That's that $5 8-leg parlays at 2:30 in the morning when you got nothing else to do and you can't sleep. But going with the President's Cup, the last 13 President's Cups, there's been 13 so far. USA is 12-1-1. They've won the last 9 in a row. They have the number 1 golfer in the world right now, which is Scottie Scheffler. So what I'm going to take here is the way this works is it's the first team to get 17 points. Each game has a certain point value. I'm going to say USA is going to win between 4 to 6 points, and that's at 3.5 to 1 odds, plus a little under 3.5 1 odds. It's plus 340. Taking a flyer here. Don't know much about golf. Don't know anything about golf really, but the analytics match up, and this will hit.
What was that one, bud?
I got USA to win by 4 to 6 points, plus 340. As I mentioned, I don't know much about golf, but I'm confident in this play. And again, at plus 340, it's a long shot, but I'll prove why analytics trumps all.
Very nice. Yeah, I like it. Just, golf, that gentleman's game, a game of science. You're going with the analytical approach, but we're going to put that to the test. I'm going to benchmark this time spot here. Let's go back and see if we can check that out. Hartnett, do you have anything for us on the links?
Yeah, visit as many golf courses as you can in your life, because that's the real measurement of success. Like, even if you can't play golf, it's even a bigger flex if you go out there and you get to spend the day on the golf course, because then it's like, yeah, I don't even know how to do this shit, but I don't have anywhere else to be, so here I am. So yeah, that's my shout out is to all the golfers out there. And yeah, Scotty Scheffler, you can't go wrong with him. So you have me in America, JB. So let's go. 1776. Show them where we're from.
Or you just find one of those ladies leagues and you just hang out at the clubhouse and watch them come up, at 9 or on 18 where they're making a turn or they're checking back in. The golf chicks got a nice physique on them. I'll put that over. Gentlemen, a little round ball. I've been trying to fit it in here each and every week. But before I get to the ladies, as I know you guys love talking about the WNBA, just a few things we're going to talk about into their playoffs. But hey, JB, I know this one big for you, brother. Huge NBA guy yourself. Big news: Derrick Rose announcing his retirement. Man, what a great prospect coming into the league, but I mean, what a great career that he ended up having. Obviously, when he entered the league, all the hype surrounding him, taken #1 overall by the Chicago Bulls. He was coming out of Memphis, such a hot hand coming out of college, and one of those big and great what if the injury didn't happen questions in sports. But I mean, you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ended up playing it with 7 teams. And to be that much of a needed hand is such a compliment in the NBA.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest shoulda, coulda, woulda stories. I mean, this guy was very highly touted coming in, won the MVP at a very young age. They were saying he was going to be the guy. Unfortunately, injuries stunted that growth. But
I mean, really, we got to remember so much hype in Chicago when they were so hungry for that reemergence, just to get a taste of what they had there in the 90s with the Jordan teams.
Yeah, 100%. But he contributed to a lot of teams. The Grizzlies. He played for my Knicks for a couple seasons. Did really well there. And we were just going younger, and that's when we decided to put him in a non-playing role. And then eventually he moved on. But overall, great career for D Rose.
I will say I misspoke here. Looking at his run in the league, you are right. So I played with the Bulls, the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Timberwolves, the Pistons. Then went back to the Knicks. I count them twice there, and then wrapping up with the Grizzlies. As you said, an MVP award 3-time, NBA All-Star, an All-NBA First Team Rookie of the Year. And it's just they go on and on. But again, one of those great what if. Hartnett, memories, your takes on Derrick Rose and his contributions to the game of basketball.
Yeah, I really loved him in college, man. He was really fun to watch and watch the tournaments in Memphis and the way he played for John Calipari and those teams. It was fun. It was fun to watch Derrick Rose. And, I think he ended up with a great career as opposed to somebody like John Wall, who just couldn't stay healthy right after college, was also just like right after him in that same era of just those point guards that were taking over, dominating games in college. And it was, it was a good era. It's a good time. And it makes me feel old. Thanks for making me feel old today because Derrick Rose retired.
Hey, I think it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that because we've really seen a transition across the board in, from college, the prospects coming up in the NBA itself, where that's, that time where we started seeing the front court really starting to dominate and your focus there and moving away from a lot of the classic big men.
Yeah, it's when you had, right in a row, you had you had him, you had John Wall, then you had Kyrie, you had even like Mike Conley right around then when he was on those Ohio State teams, he was fun to watch playing point guard around there and in that era. And he's got to be getting ready to retire too, Conley, because he was right around the same time as Rose and Wall and them. So, but it's fun to watch, and it was a good time for college basketball and college hoops, and can't wait. College hoop season's coming up, baby. It's right around the corner. We're getting ready for some college hoops. It will be here before you know it. It'll be March Madness season before you know it. And it's it's a lot of fun to play college hoops, man.
Well, we're going to be covering it all throughout the run of the season. Hopefully, getting out in the action will maybe revive a little bit of the energy and excitement of the regular season for me, at least, as I've kind of faded off in that mindset. Nothing matters till March, but hey, we're going to be talking about it a whole lot here on the Bottom Line Sports Talk podcast. But gentlemen, we're talking about a lot of fun to watch this past Sunday. Big matchup is. The mountain, the monster, the giant was ahead of them. The WNBA kicked off their round one, game one set of their playoff season. The big game to watch was the Fever and the Sun. Obviously, the Fever highlighted by Ms. Caitlin Clark and her incredible year. They tipped off at 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC, right there in the heart of the NFL Sunday, the transition from the early games to the late games. Some of the figures here. See if this surprises you, guy. Were you expected, or did it fall short of maybe what you thought? But again, here Sunday's Fever Sun first round WNBA playoff game. It averaged 1.84 million viewers on ABC open air, making it the largest WNBA playoff audience in any round since the deciding game of the 2000 WNBA finals. That was between the Liberty and the Comets. They pulled in 2.12 million, and it was the most watched outside of the W finals since game 2 of the Sparks Comets all the way back, I'm going to feel old here, in 1999. That was the Western Conference Finals. They pulled 2.62 million. Hartnett, the numbers here up against the juggernaut. Is this something that the WNBA should be patting themselves on the back on, or do you think they fell short or right where they should be?
I mean, it's never a good thing to go against football, right? You don't ever want to go against college football or the NFL on any level. So
well, a couple times this year they have outdrawn. They have beaten even over on Ion. They pulled a higher rating than any college game earlier this year with one of the Fever games for that particular week.
What college games did they go against? The fucking MAC.
Well, it was like week 2.
They go against Ball State. Like who they go against?
No, it was like they beat the entire board. No, they won the entire day. Yeah, they won the entire day.
They beat ABC College Game Day.
Yeah,
they beat the game of the week.
I believe so. I could be wrong here, but to the point here,
you got me. If you're right about that, that's something you learn something new every day. But you never want to go against college football or the NFL. It's never a good thing, and it's a terrible slot. But what are you going to do? Like their other option is to go up against the NBA, which is like nobody's ever going to watch. So
you're not going to move. You're not going to move your entire season, but as you are structuring your playoffs, and there are these other again the juggernaut, the dynamics that are in there. Would you suggest to the WNBA maybe going forward to look, especially when you've got your elite? I mean, this is your playoff, the top of your tops, the top of the field here, especially in Caitlin Clark, who is bringing everybody in, who is your real MVP. I don't care what the two of you say. I mean, is there a better night to start these things for them? And, go on a Wednesday against AEW Dynamite. You're going to fare a hell of a lot better.
I mean, they pat themselves on the back for like $600,000 viewer audience. So I guess it's all in perspective.
Still have you guys. Hopefully you guys are still talking.
Yeah,
I had some kind of internet issue here. We dropped
out. It's all
out.
about perspective, I guess. Beauty's in the eye
of
the
beholder. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
RBB. I'm not kidding you, but I'm still talking, and the people know that beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
All right, I'm going to call somebody else guys here.
Decide your worth and your value and your beauty. You know what I mean? You think those numbers are beautiful? They're beautiful, damn it.
I think Rick froze.
All right, you guys still there?
Rick's just talking.
We can hear you.
But
do I have you guys? This is on me. I apologize.
You're good.
The truck.
You're good.
Rick was just amazed at Hartnett's amazing analysis, and he just got stunned.
My analysis just froze you like a deer in headlights. Look, it did it again. Look at that sweet face he's got going right there. Look at that.
Look at that glow.
Can we look at? Yeah. Can we just examine the facial feature? Oh, he's gone. Does that mean we're still running this thing?
Oh shit! Inmates running the asylum. This shit's about to go downhill.
Yeah, it's gonna go. Get on your skis. We're going downhill. All right, so I guess
we're about to get that third strike.
Since I'm in charge now, we're going to stop talking about the WNBA and we're going to move into man sports. We're going to start talking about Saturday, the big slate, college football. We're going to talk about the big game that's coming up. We're going to talk about Alabama and Georgia. We're going to talk about the rest of the games we like on the slate. Javid, what do you like in NCAA this weekend?
There's two games. I mean, there's a lot of good games. Let me reference by saying there are a lot of games. You mentioned some of them: Georgia, Alabama. You got Kansas State versus Oklahoma. Oh, and Rick Vickery is back.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what that was. It completely lost everything. Lightning hitting the truck here. Again, we got storms moving. Oh, hey, down by here, we're talking about storms, JB. You're getting the brunt of it down there. It's coming your way, but it's making its way up. Or both of you. Shit, you're both down there. So
yeah, you can't tell.
We're getting all that. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain to you guys.
Yeah.
So where are we at there? I apologize to everybody. We'll go back. I know you guys were
talking NCAA.
Some
moved
college
on.
football stuff here, but okay. So
Rick, I just want to say, just so everyone understands, because when you mentioned the stat about WB and ratings, and Hartnett gave you a crazy look, he wasn't wrong for that. So just to give everyone some reference, it was a Friday, so they weren't like a great slate of games for college football. That's number one, and number two, it was a huge game because it was Reese versus Clark. So I mean, it's the storyline. It's the main event. So it did like 1.9 at its highest peak. It did beat college football, yes, but it was on a Friday when there was like no big games on Friday.
Okay, so that kind of lends to what I asked right there. I mean, it's going to be smarter for them and strategically place themselves probably early to mid-week to draw those ratings.
Yeah, I'd say your holes are always going to be on Friday, unless it's Texas. Then you're never going to beat high school football. Good luck with that. Like Jim Cornette says, 24-hour gas station. How are you ever going to compete with that? All these things are competition for the WNBA. There's a lot more things out there that people would rather be doing than watching WNBA. So it's doing really well for what they've done. They've come a really long way, and it's a lot of chalk, like -600, 700 favorites. And, I don't think any dogs won in the first round of the playoffs at all. I think it was just clean chalk sweeps. So it's what it is. And
what I think what Hartnett said is they're doing well. No one should be talking about their ratings versus the NFL. It's just
don't compare them to
for what they're doing in their lane, they're doing massively well. Take out the Caitlin Clark effect, because I know we talked about this a little bit earlier or before going on air earlier today. Even with Caitlin Clark out, I still believe the W is going to get ratings, because if you look at the Las Vegas Aces game and the Seattle Storm, their game had 958,000 viewers, which is the biggest ratings than any other finals games last season for the W. So the fact that Vegas is still in and Liberty are in, those two teams have huge followings. So I think the ratings will continue because those two teams are playing each other next. Don't be surprised if one of those games clips over 1 million views. And one of those teams have to win, and they're going to be in the finals. So I think they're going to take those ratings into the finals. So I think it's going to probably be one of the highest rated playoffs, if not the highest rated playoff ever in the W. And that's after Caitlin Clark is gone.
Very nice. That was probably the main concern there is, how are they going to be able to sustain the attention, especially from the general public, to tune in to check this thing out without their star. But interesting. We'll keep our eye on that. If anything big comes up, we will absolutely be covering that. But as we talk about postseason, some big races, an exciting weekend. That's why he's pacing. You can see him looking around. He's got screens all over right now, checking it out. Yeah. We're talking. It is the final countdown for Major League Baseball right now. Something's happening here. We have got some tight races here. So, some of the teams already got their dance tickets stamped, but still some good races. Hartnett, I'm going to just throw it over to you, sir. It's this final weekend, man. What are you excited about? What are you jumping on?
I mean, probably the most exciting thing going on well, for me at this very second, the most exciting thing would be Kumar Rocker over 5.5 Ks. We got that locked in here. That game just started, so that's what I was doing, was switching over from the Royals game that had ended over to the to the Rangers game. So I'm locked in on that. Kumar Rocker, he's the guy that pitched that no hitter for Vanderbilt in the College World Series a couple of years ago. Absolute stud, throws absolute nasty filth. So gonna watch him over here out of the corner of my eye while I'm over here giving the people great picks. That's number one. But dude, I think the Mets and the Braves getting their series postponed to a doubleheader coming up on the beginning of next week. I think everybody's going to be watching that. Huge showdown right there with implications for the National League playoffs. And yeah, as a Mets fan, it's got me, excited and terrified at the same time.
If we look, I was going to say, both two Mets fans here, we look at the NL wild card race, man. This thing is tight. Obviously, San Diego at the top there, 3.5. They're sitting pretty. But then you've got the New York Mets and Diamondbacks. They are tied right now. And then sitting at that last spot, trying to get in there, the Atlanta Braves, and to have them and the Mets locking horns. I mean, this is playoff baseball already.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. Detroit just slithered in there and found their way in, and they just came back. They were down, I think 3-0 just now, and came back and won against Tampa. So they, I believe they just swept Tampa. So they now control their own destiny going into this final week here. And yeah, the last week's going to be big games. Every week is big in the National Football League. Every week's league in Major League Baseball. But when it comes down to here, and you just see like every game really does count, because these things are coming down to one game, half a game, 2.5 games, 2 games. It's all those little games that you play 162 game season. They all add up and they come down and they all count right here at the end. So, it's a long season coming down right to the end, and it's going to be crazy to watch these playoffs. And I'm excited to see, hopefully, the Mets can sneak in there and get it done.
JB, for baseball, I mean, obviously, as Hartnett said, I mean, I'm sure you're going to be watching the Mets and the Braves. I mean, that inside of itself, that is playoff baseball, baseball playoff atmosphere all over. Where are you at right now on this home stretch? There's some long shots in Minnesota, still 2.5, maybe could get in there. Which of the hot teams are you liking right now?
Let me just start off by saying, and I won't curse, but F Vlad Guerrero Jr. yesterday, and Hartnett is going to feel my pain once I finish this statement. I had a 4-game home run parlay. I had Soto, Judge, Jose Ramirez, and Vlad to go yard. It was like a $2.70-something bet to win $1,001, and Vlad did not go yard. I was so pissed.
Judge did his late too.
Yeah, Judge got his. Soto
feeling good.
I was so pissed. And the damn thing is, Bovada didn't give me any damn cash out option, or I would have did it real quick. But there was no cash out option given to me. But anyway, it is what it is. I just want to also say, I said on last episode, Tigers were live plus 140 to make the playoffs. And not only are they now leading the Twins by 2 games, they're actually tied with the Royals. And I was feeling kind of down because they were down 3-0. But as Hartnett was checking the Royals score, I looked back to check, and they actually ended up winning 4-3. So they came back and won that game. So if you took that Tigers plus 140 to make the playoffs, you were alive and well. Again, that's going to come down to the Tigers, Twins, and Royal. The Tigers and the Twins. I believe the Tigers are going to 100% take that. As I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Mets and Braves, man, I'm really pissed off that that game got delayed. They delayed yesterday, or not delayed, but they canceled yesterday, and today postponed because of the rain. And now it's going to be at the end of the season. So it's going to all come down to that. I feel like it's going to come down to that. My prediction is we're going to probably have a 1-game advantage over the Braves going into that. And that game has so many implications, because not only is it for the actual wins, but it's a tiebreaker as well. So if it comes down to tiebreaker, whoever if we don't win those two games, if Braves win one game, we lose the tiebreaker. So we have to try to win both games, or at least go up one game into that 2-game series. So it's going to be interesting. I think that right now that's the hottest thing going on in terms of playoff implications. I think the Mets pull through though.
Wow, so you're going with them. Is that from your mind or your heart?
100% from my heart. Like it is, but the Mets have been known to let us down. I don't think that's the case this time though. I like their matchup. They're playing the Brewers. I think they could take 1 or 2 against the Brewers. Braves have the Royals. That's going to be a tough ask. And also Diamondbacks, they're still, they're a game or a half a game, I believe, above us, but they have a tough series in the Padres coming up. So it's all up for grabs right now.
Right now, as I said, you got the Padres are in there. They got that 3.5 lead, and then you have the Mets sitting with the Diamondbacks. Mets at 87-7, Diamondbacks at 88-71, so they're locked up right there. And the Braves sitting back just 1 game from both of them.
Yeah, if we would have won that first game, we would have had a nice little cushion coming up. But unfortunately, we lost that game. But I still think, again, the Mets pull through.
I just know Big Ray absolutely loving the misery for your Mets, for both of you guys right now in those struggles, as he is definitely pulling against you. Now, gentlemen, as I had my little technical difficulties, that little hiccup where I had to check back in here, you guys went ahead. We're talking some college football. I don't want to miss out on what you guys were sharing there. So if we can go ahead and rewind that, I'll let you guys jump back into that conversation about this big week we've got.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't give any picks yet. We just started going over the slate and the big games that were on the slate. But yeah, we can just dive right in whenever you're ready.
Well, I think as you talk about the big games and a turning point into the season, this is kind of where we're at here, where we start getting into more of the conference games, the bigger matchups that are going to matter. We're getting really into the meat, the substance of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Now you get to kind of see who the contenders are and who the pretenders are. You should have a pretty good idea. Now is when you start to see some spreads that you kind of get away with them in the week 1 or 2, where you're like, well, that one's lined way too close, or wait, that one's like, what is that? They're giving way too many points. Now you're going to know it's going to look at you, and you're going to have these 24-point spreads in front of you and 42-point spreads. It's going to be much harder to sneak one past the goalie. But, if you know where to look and you know what matchups are.
Let me jump in on that, Hartnett, because, you're getting into the conference, always up the ante. You're going to see more ranked teams playing ranked teams in the power conferences. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do run into, at this point in the season moving forward, and you do run into potentially one of those big schools versus a mid or a lesser team, are those a little more difficult to bet because, that big school might be resting, might be pulling off a little bit, or could those be trap games, or do you still like those lopsided picks as we get into the meat of the season?
It all depends. It's a lot of points usually. And it's like some of them, like there's certain teams that will go out and cover the spread on a huge spread. Like Alabama loves to cover a huge spread, right?
Who's long-term known for scheduling those cupcakes back in the past in the middle of a big run.
Yeah, and you can see them get like a 30, 40-point spread. But even look at like a team like Ohio State tried to do that with Marshall last week at home, right? Was that last week or the week before? They were like 40-point favorites. They didn't cover the 40-point number, even though it was a blowout. They won by like 30 points, but they didn't cover 40. You know what I mean? So it's slick. You gotta kind of know. Yeah, you obviously know Ohio State's going to win that game, but are they going to, like you said, they're going to call off the dogs? Are they going to give up a touchdown? What's like their defense like? What's the other quarterback like on the other team? Is he capable of leading at least one scoring drive? Because 40 points, it's like shit. Yeah, like all you have to do is score pretty much once, and you're going to cover that number. So, it's you got to know the teams, you got to know the coaches, you got to know the systems, you got to know their reputations and what they're most likely to do, especially if it's a rival. Is this a rivalry game where it's like they're going to show them no mercy, or is it one of those in-conference games where it's like this is going to be a nail biter? Let's take the points and ride this one out because it's going to be a grind. So, it's. got to take it case by case. But the great thing about the college slate is there's usually like 100 games, so you can usually find at least 10 that I like. You know what I mean?
Something to bounce back on. JP,
Yeah.
kind of in that same sentiment. Let me ask you this: I know here in the great state of the OHIO, a little concern about our powerhouse Buckeyes with slow starts this season. Is that something that you concern yourself with when you see them going into conference play now, and with so many ranked teams inside the Big Ten?
With college football, man, there's so many variations. Like I don't like to take stock in a lot unless it's something detrimental, because it's literally like a week by week to week thing, because there's so many different variables. So I don't think anyone should be a cause of concern. Now, after this week, that's when you can, especially in some we're going to talk a little bit about Oklahoma State and Kansas State. When it starts getting to those kind of games and you're in that kind of conference, some of these teams are going to be in must-win situations. And even though, like we talked about the bigger playoffs, it's approaching that time where some teams are going to be in a must-win thing. And, I'm going to break down a little bit of that when we talk about Oklahoma and Kansas State as well. Oklahoma State and Kansas State, I should say.
Very nice. All right. Well, we talked a little strategy, so let's go ahead and talk about some of these big matchups this week. Of course, things get going tonight with some games. We got Friday, but as always, man, the brunt of the action, you want to keep your eye on and get those big bucks coming at you Saturday. JB, I'll keep it with you here, my friend. What are we looking at? We're talking about a full slate here, some big time games. Where are you at? Let's hear some big picks.
So there's two games I want to kind of break down. I know Hartnett has a couple as well. The two games I really want to talk about, though, is Oklahoma State versus Kansas State. Kansas State is a 4.5-point favorite. Point blank, I like Kansas State to cover the spread here. They're at home. Both of these teams are coming off a loss. Kansas State is coming off that loss against, I think it was BYU, and Oklahoma State, Utah. So let me just run some numbers by you. Kansas State is ranked last in passing yards in the Big 12. But that's all right, because Oklahoma State gives up 280 yards passing, which is the worst in the Big 12. So honestly, I don't even think passing is going to matter too much in this game, especially for Kansas State. And here's why. Giddens, their running back, he's averaging over 6 yards a carry. And Oklahoma State ranks last in Big 12, over 180 yards per game rushing. So I think Giddens is going to have a big game. Oklahoma, on the other hand, in terms of their running, Gordon was highly touted. There was even talks that he might be a Heisman guy, and he really hasn't shown that. He's averaging 3.5 yards a carry. This is the pretty much worst yards per carry for any running back that has over 60 attempts. And on the flip side of that, in terms of rush defense, Kansas State is only giving up 83 yards a game. So when you put a running back that is failing or just not doing what he should against a good rush defense team, that's a bad recipe. In addition to that, let's talk about Oklahoma State's quarterback, Bowman. He's a good prospect, right? But here's my situation. Last week, he was benched in the Utah game. He didn't come back in, but he was benched. Sometimes, as a young kid, that can play on your psyche, the fact that they were benched. In the NFL, I think it's more of like a reset. Let's get back on task. When someone's so young and so new to this kind of big light, that can kind of play in their head. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And like I was kind of saying earlier, this is a big game for both teams. They're both, at this very point in time, they're both 0-1 in the conference. I know we talked again about the larger playoffs, but if you're going down 0-2 in the Big 12 with teams like BYU, Utah, Iowa State, and one of these teams are about to get a win, that's a recipe for disaster. You're probably not going to come out of the Big 12. So this is a must-win for both of these teams.
Very, very nice there. I do want to throw it out here when we go over to you, Hartnett. One of the big games between the two of you it's going to have all the eyes on it throughout the country is the big matchup, Louisville and Notre Dame. You guys are on opposite sides of the fence here for this big one.
We are?
I believe so. You said that you had a lot in common. I'm over here in the chat. Where are you on the opposite side there? Hartnett, who'd you have there? I believe, JB, you said you weren't on the same page as him on this one.
So I like Notre Dame to win. I don't even know what the spread is, but I like Notre Dame to win outright.
All right, you got your mic off. You got your mute on.
My bad. Yeah, sorry. I'm taking the points. I like Louisville. It's 7 points is the spread. So they're on the road. Notre Dame's at home. Notre Dame, good defense. It's going to probably be a low-scoring game. I'm not exactly sure what the over-under is, but it should be a low-scoring game. So probably leaning towards the under on that. And I like Louisville. I think they can move the ball better. Notre Dame, not exactly the biggest powerhouse with some of these teams that can actually fight back. So they put away Purdue, and Purdue's not exactly a good team. So it's good to see them take care of business with a team like that. But you saw the way they struggled with Northern Illinois, and I think they're going to have their hands full with another team that, to me, is playoff bound. I think Louisville is one of those teams we're going to be talking about here in the college playoffs. So,
wow.
I have them. I took them before the year to win the ACC. So,
you took them to win the ACC.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's bold.
Yeah.
They got right now number 15 Louisville.
I mean, Miami's gonna be the team to beat there, But I like Louisville, dude. I think, yeah.
What does that pay, bro?
It was like 12-1 or something like that.
Ooh.
It's a nice bet. It's a nice ticket. So I got to stick with the Cardinals, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to ride that ticket to the gravy train right to the checkout lane. But it is 15 Louisville versus number 16 Notre Dame. That's going to be coming at you at 3:30 p.m. this Saturday on Buckcock. Yeah, baby. Hartnett, what else you got here? You got a whole run, some good looking picks here for Saturday.
Yeah, I got a game tonight. Thursday night game. We got Army. The Cadets going in to Temple up in Pennsylvania. They're going to go take on Temple. They're laying 12. They're going to be running that triple option, and dude, I think they're going to cover that number easy. They can run that score up with the option, and I don't see 12 being a problem for them to cover. I'm going to lay the points with Army tonight. Tomorrow we got Rutgers taking on Washington at home in Rutgers. We got New Jersey Tony Soprano special. We're going to be taking the Rutgers money line minus 135. Go ahead and hammer that. Tell them the wise guy sent you, because they got a guy that's going to take care of the thing with the guy.
I like that. The Soprano special,
yeah.
baby.
We're taking it. Lock it up. Then we're going back. We're going to do another. I guess this is a salute to the United States of America here, but. Javid took America early. I took Army, and now we're going to take Navy. We're going to lay 3.5. And
patriotic, baby.
It's just I'm feeling red, white, and blue all over. And they're taking on UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. They're on the road, but laying 3.5. Once again, I think they should be able to cover that number. They should control the ball, control the clock, and should be able to go up. I think at least 2 scores. So I think they should win around by 10. 14, maybe even more, so 3.5, lay it, no problem. Big game on Saturday over in Orlando. We got UCF, the Moon Bounce. 14.5 is the current line. It opened at 10, but they're laying 14.5 against Coach Prime and the University of Colorado. We're going to lay it because the University of Central Florida can run the football, and Colorado has a very hard time stopping the run. There's going to be nasty weather, thunderstorms, whole lot of rain. Shadur Sanders is the entire offense, is predicated on him getting the ball to Travis Hunter. And I just don't see how they're going to be able to throw the ball when it's going to be, 40, 50 mile an hour winds and pouring sideways rain on Saturday afternoon in Central Florida. And I think the Knights are just going to run it down their throat, and they're going to cover that number, no problem. Colorado's defense is kind of weak, and they're prone to shootouts, but they need to be in an environment where they can throw the ball, and they're just not going to be able to throw the ball again in this environment. And I think it looks like a big number, but that's designed to trick the public into thinking they need to back Coach Prime. Not here. They got their big win last week, but not here. They're going to go down in flames against the Central Florida Knights. So lay the number confidently. Yes.
Quick question. I'm not trying to steal Rick's job. I'm just gonna play host for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So just to educate the listeners. So that line's 14.5. Mm-hmm. When you look at that line, as we know, like as handicappers, we have key numbers, and 14 is a key number. When do you consider like, hey, let me buy the half a point? Because there's been times where that half a point killed me. And when it comes to those key numbers, 3, 14, 17, 24, I always like to buy the half a point, regardless if it's a 5-cent, 10-cent juice. I don't care.
Yeah, if your book offers it, I would do it. Sometimes it's it depends on where you're playing it. If they're going to offer you to buy the half point, definitely buy through anywhere. I mean, sometimes too. So like the smaller numbers don't bother me as much. Like 2.5, like I don't mind just taking 2.5 because I'm usually taking the money line. So I'm like, for me, I'm always gonna take the 2.5. Like 8 out of 10 times, I want to say I'm taking the 2.5. But the bigger numbers, if I'm laying them, I really don't want to get hit with a hook on a 14. But it's also a psychological thing. Sometimes when the book puts up a number like that, they want you to think there's no way this team's not going to be within 2 touchdowns. Usually that means they're not going to be within 5 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So it's also good to sometimes look at those alternate spreads if you think it's going to be a blowout, and maybe you might want to go bump it up to 21 if you're feeling frisky.
Plus money.
Yeah, get big plus money on it. If you're laying 21 points, you're probably getting 2-1 almost. I would imagine. So, yeah, definitely. If you can buy the numbers on 7 and 14, usually though.
A little handicapped 101 for dummies there. Tremendous insight. I think got one more big one for Saturday college football. We're talking about a big one. We're talking about a big one. ABC. I think they'll be very happy if these two teams can match that WNBA ratings number. This is going to be a blockbuster. Probably the first big game of the year. We're talking number 2 versus number 4, one of the biggest rivalries in the game. The Bulldogs and the Tide, Roll Tide. It's Georgia and Alabama hooking up Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Again, ABC, the place to be. Hartnett, who you got on this one?
Donald Trump will be in the building, and so will we, because we're going to be rolling with the Alabama Crimson Tide plus 1.5. We're taking the points against Georgia. I think they went outright, but give me the 1.5. Lock me in. Let's go. I think you're going to see a tight game. It's going to be one of those classic SEC. Just 2 big, nasty teams getting down and dirty. But I think Alabama pulls it out probably by about 7 points. I would say 1-score game, maybe. I think it's going to be close. But it should be fun to watch.
JB, I don't believe you had it in your picture you sent me, but for being a blockbuster game of the week, what are you liking in that big one?
So I know I didn't message this to you, but I actually did lock in Alabama earlier today. I locked in Alabama. I got them at +2. I just kind of want to break this down a little bit. Obviously, a blockbuster game. The fact that you're getting Alabama as a home dog, we haven't seen that since 2007. So it's friggin' 17 years since they've been a home underdog. So that already in itself is value.
I was going to say they're always home dogs.
So, this game's going to come down to Alabama's defense, really. I think Hartnett hit the nail on the head. It's going to be one of those type of games. I think the over-under is at 48. You might want to look at the under on that. I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest. But I'll take Alabama's defense again, Carson Beck. We saw what Kentucky did with them last week. I mean, it was a 1-point game, 14-13, 13-12, I think it was. And the reason why Kentucky did so well is because and they kept it close is because they were pressuring Beck. And clearly, if Alabama can do that, I think they're going to find success. Alabama's at home, so to deal with that freaking crowd is going to be a whole nother issue. They're going to be crazy. It's one of the more fanatic college football fan bases. Now, Georgia, in their this is an interesting stat. Georgia, in their last 51 games, they're 49-2. The 2 losses were against Alabama. Now, I get it. Georgia backers are going to say, oh, that's because they had Saban. But at the same time, their coach now is not just some nobody. About 2022 Pac-12. What's that?
They also had Bryce Young, which makes you kind of appreciate them
R-
doing it even more because goddamn does he suck.
Right, exactly. Well, what a bust that guy is. But I'm sure we'll probably get to that in a few. But the Bauer 2022 Pac-12 Coach of the Year beat Texas in the Alamo Bowl. That was in 2022. Last year, Pac-12 Coach of the Year in many different media outlets. They beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl, and they fell short to Michigan in the national championship. But this is not just a run of the mill guy. So I think Alabama definitely wins this game. I'm not going to take the money line just because if you're giving me +2, I'll just take the +2. Why not?
Yeah, I'm about to take the
All right, so big time college Saturday coming up. Going to be glued to that. Invite everybody to head on over to Facebook. Check out the Hamin Media Group. It's our discussion area over there. We'll have some threads up for the big college Saturday games and especially the Sunday NFL games. Gentlemen, we will extend here a little bit longer. I got some just news topics I want to run by you that I thought were kind of interesting here. One of the big ones that I had seen, they're both about coaching. This one kind of popped me. I shared it over on my page trying to get some feedback. But for for Bill Belichick, Double B, they got a couple teams up there. Which one do you guys see potentially being the best future fit for Coach Double B there? We got the Giants, New York Football Giants, the Jags, the Titans, the boys down in Big D, Chicago, or right here in the 5-1-3, the Houday Cincinnati Bengals.
Bro, none of that is happening.
Yeah.
Belichick is done. Like, Belichick is having so much fun being an analyst. I saw him on YouTube. He's doing a YouTube channel with Peyton Manning, breaking down plays. This man's
I like his sports, the betting commercials that he's doing. Everybody's calling him up.
He's having the time of his life, man, and he's getting paid well. I don't see him going to any of these teams, honestly. I just don't. Like some people, when they're done, they're done. I really feel Belichick is the guy. I don't think we're going to see a Brady where he comes back for another season or two, makes one more run. I just don't see it.
The only one I'd go with, I could see, man, the league itself would love him down there in Dallas. You just talk about the headlines, the drama, or you go to Cody Rhodes route and you finish the story in New York.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's happening. I'm with JB. I think Bill's had enough of the league. I think he's going to enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, he's got his 19 to 23-year-old girlfriend.
Seriously, what's the point of him coming back? Like, exactly. He just wins one more. Like, they're going to pay him. He's going to get paid anyway. Like, what's the point, right? Like, it's not like he never won it.
It's that ego to say, you know what? Not only did I do it without Brady, I did it last. I'm with you guys. I think he's kicking back. He is enjoying life. He's living it to the fullest, man. He is out of here. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some teams with the coaches on the hot seat. I found some lines here. We get your
Peterson. What's Peterson's
on
line?
this, man? 1
He's definitely gone.
10.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy at the top there. Peterson was in at 2. Of course, some of the usuals there. You got Zach Taylor from my boys in at 9. But higher than that, New Orleans.
Why the hell is Robert Saleh on there?
Yeah, what's Dennis Allen doing on there? They came out red hot. His job's safe as fuck right now. I would say Doug Peterson's gone.
Yes.
Peterson's gone. You know that like Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, they've lost I think their last 8 games in a row, like straight up, and they've lost I think they're 1-7 against the spread in their last 8. It's something horrible, dude. Like, spoiler alert, we're picking the Texans, but hey, you kick them while they're down. They're easier to reach. Bobby Heenan taught me that when I was a kid, and I've been living my life by that code. And there's no reason to be taking the Jaguars right now unless you're taking them to have their whole entire coaching staff fired because they're the laughing stock in the league. I'm surprised he wasn't fired at halftime of that Bills game because that's a team that
they're the AEW of the league.
Yeah, it's dude. And seeing the way the league's going right now too, and they've spent a lot of money to try to make things happen, and they gave Trevor Lawrence a lot of money. I know how it feels paying Daniel Jones. It doesn't feel good to pay a bum a lot of money, but yeah, at least it wasn't Trevor Lawrence. Oof. Yeah.
I saw something. Two things I want to mention. I saw on social media. I saw something that said Trevor Lawrence is Daniel Jones with long hair, and the other thing is
No, Daniel Jones is so much better. Daniel Jones, if Daniel Jones had a kicker, where the Giants are an active kicker away from being 2-1 in first place right now. Trevor Lawrence hasn't won a game in like almost. It's going to be coming up on almost a year. That's like half a season. 8 games in a row. That's insane.
Doug Peterson at plus 400. If my book had that, I would hammer the crap out of that.
Yeah.
I saw there's a lot of troll accounts on social media, which I never ever fall for. However, I saw something that said Peterson was fired at halftime, and I legit clicked on it because I thought it was for real. I legit clicked on it.
Fired him at halftime.
It said like first NFL coach to get fired at halftime. I was like, wait, is this legit? Because I can see that happening.
He's so lucky there was a second Monday night game on, because if that was the only game on prime time and he was under the spotlight for that, he would have gotten crucified on Tuesday morning. Yeah, but like the fact that the Bengals had that, shootout and Jaden Daniels looked so good, it kind of, flew under the radar almost, but it was epically bad. Like they can't get anything going. And it's like, bro, it was hard to watch the Giants, week 1, but like week 2 and 3, okay, like they won a game, they almost won 2 games. But the Jaguars epically blew a game against the Dolphins, who turn out like they're soft, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And who else did they blow that game against? The Falcons.
Definitely wasn't the Bills. I think it was
Bills
Cleveland.
blew them out. Cleveland. It was Cleveland. Cleveland, such a winnable game.
Cleveland got
such a winnable
game
them. Against Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and you couldn't beat them. Like, yeah, Doug Peterson's done. Plus 400, wherever you can find that. I'm gonna look for it as soon as I hang up my phone here with you guys.
I'm with you.
Yeah, plus 400 on it for Peterson there.
Because look at everybody else on that list. Everybody else is like McCarthy is the safest, I think, out of the guys in the top 5.
It's interesting. He's the shortest odds though.
Yeah, out of the guys in those top 5, like I agree, his job's always in jeopardy. But out of the top 5, like I would think Stefanski's got to be right up there. It's got to be Peterson, Stefanski, and then I guess like Eberflus. Just if the Bears can't do anything, like they're gonna get rid of him before they get rid of Caleb Williams. But yeah, dude, Doug Peterson, see ya.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about. So it might be see ya. They could be very easily moving to 0-4 and over in the pick 'em on ESPN with the spread. I think it's something that Texans are. It's like 79% of the house is going with Jacksonville going 0-4 there. But gentlemen, let's get some of your picks there for this NFL week. We've got the big game tonight. Hey, we might as well let's put Coach Belichick on the line there. Dallas at New York, getting things going for Thursday night football.
Yeah, as a Giants fan, there's certain trends you got to pay attention to. One of them's usually.
I thought you were a Jets fan.
No, I'm a Giants fan. I'm rooting for the Jets.
I'm not your friend anymore.
I mean, yeah. Like as a Giants fan, it's just hard to, it's.
I didn't even know that was natural. You're allowed to be a Mets fan and a Giants fan. I thought you had to be like Yankees, Giants, and Jets, Mets. I thought they were like packaged.
Be whatever you want.
It's all
people
over.
Out here telling people that they're freaking dragons, and other kids like, oh, I'm a dog. Look at me, I'm a bite. The freaking kids in my class, and these people got to respect that. You got to respect the fact I'm a Giants and a Mets fan. It's how I identify.
As long as no one
identifies
as an Islanders fan, right?
That's how I identify, bro. But as a Giants fan, there's certain trends you got to pay attention to. One of them is we always beat the Redskins. It doesn't matter if they're good, if they're bad. Apparently, the only thing that could stop us is if we don't have a kicker in the game and we just allow them to, beat us by not scoring a touchdown. Somehow we score 3 touchdowns. But regardless of that, the other trend is the Cowboys always beat up the Giants, dude, especially early in the year. It's never pretty unless Eli Manning's there to save us. Mm-hmm. It's bad. It's usually really bad. And this is one of those games, like, knowing what the public knows now with all the numbers and how many underdogs have hit coming out the gate, I think 5.5 is going to be a laughable number probably tomorrow morning, because that number falls right on 5.5, where all the underdogs have been hitting on 5.5 against the spread and straight up. So you're going to see people look at that number and psychologically end up playing the Giants and playing the money line on the Giants. But dude, Giants don't belong in the same field as the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb are infinitely better than pretty much anybody that the Giants have. Malik Neighbors is still so young, but he's a superstar. But it's like, I mean, he's not going to be able to do it by himself. The defensive line's decent. They can cause a little bit of pressure, but I don't know, man. I think the Cowboys are going to beat them by a lot. So I'm going to lay the 5.5 tonight.
There we go. Do you want it? Hartnett, you want to run down yours, or JB, you want to weigh in on tonight?
So tonight actually is my lock of the week.
Lock it in, baby.
I spoke last week about the Cowboys and how terrible their rush defense is, and I said, Henry was going to run all over them, and he did. I think he ran for like 151 yards, and I think it's going to be some more of that this week. I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to lose, but I definitely think Singletary has a big game. I love Singletary over 58.5 yards rushing. I've locked that in already. I think that's a great number, and I think he's going to get that plus more. For those of you who know what ladder bets are, that's something you might want to look at. Ladder bets is where you take you would take him at 60 yards, 70 yards, 80 yards, and as you go up in increments, the payout is higher. If you think he's going to have like a big game, all you got to do is really cash out on one of those, and you would at least, at the worst case, get your money back. But the more yards you rush, the more your payout's going to be. So I think he has a big game. In terms of the game itself, who's going to win, I do lean Cowboys covering the spread, but I really don't care who wins the game. Singletary is going for over 58.5.
There we go. I like you. We got the lock in there for the prop bet. Singletary at 58.5 going over. And if you have the potential for it, go ahead and ladder that, baby. Anything over is just more green for you. All right, JB, we'll stick with you. We'll go back to Hartnett here, but why don't you any other things that you're really jumping out to you, JB, for the NFL week?
Yes, I do want to break down one game that I think you'll like, but before I go ahead and do that, just want to say some of the games that I like. I like Lions to win. I like Chiefs. I know that might be a little controversial. I like the Steelers to win. I know I was not on the bandwagon last week, but I'm getting on it this week. Hey, Hard, they gave me that look. That's a screenshot look right there, Hard. It's like I told you.
Welcome aboard, brother. Mike Tomlin and I welcome aboard the Steelers wagon.
And Cardinals and Washington. I know Jaden Daniels had like a career game in terms of rookie last week, but I like the Cardinals to win it this week. The game I really want to break down though is Rick. I believe that your team is the Bengals. It's the Bengals. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I like the Bengals to win. It's at a weird point spread.
Yeah, we've been saying that for weeks around here.
No, and I'm gonna get to that. I mean, let's start off by saying they're playing the freaking Panthers. So it's not like they're playing some top-notch team. They're playing the Panthers.
Did you see that Panther team last week? You see what the red rifle, the former Bengal is doing?
Come on. Don't tell me you went out and bought an Andy Dalton jersey.
No, I didn't have to. I just went in my closet and got the old one out.
From 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Raiders played a bad game, but I like the Bengals. I like them to win the game. If you look at that last drive last week, Burrows looked amazing in that last drive. It was such a quick drive, and he looked great. He literally walked down the field, and that's the Burrow that we know. Bengals also over the last couple of weeks, coming off of week one, their rush defense did not look good. I think they played the Falcons. Was it the Falcons? No, it wasn't. I forget who they played in week one, but the rush defense.
The Patriots.
Yeah. Oh man, Stevenson.
The Bengals have so much problem with that mobile quarterback, and we were making
Well, Stevenson,
I know the
journeyman
week one came out. He was all over, always with Mahomes in week two, and then last week, just got lit up. We can't keep him in. That might be a benefit because, let's be honest, Dalton's never been known for his scrambling, especially now at this stage in his career.
Right, and that was the point I was trying to make. I think the rush defense is going to be a lot better this week. Also, just some numbers. Burrows is 15-7. That's 68% against the spread after defeat. And he's coming off a defeat, as we know, so 68% against the spread. And he's 67%, which is 37-18 when he's favored by less than a touchdown. Also, something very, very interesting to note here. If you looked at the lines early, Bengals were actually favored by 7 points. After the Bengals lost last week and the Panthers won last week, that line has now moved to 4. I think that's a little bit of a too much. I think the books are looking too much at that, and they're paying too much on that. Bengals could have easily won last week, so I think that line
corrected way too hard on that.
Yeah, 3 points is a lot, man. If it was 1, even maybe 2, 3 points is a lot. So I like Bengals to win and cover the spread, but that's not the play I'm going to be going with. I'm going to be going with Bengals over 26.5. I think they just go crazy on the Panthers. I could see them getting into the 30s, mid 30s even. I think Burrow finally has his breakout game where he just goes insane. And that's my pick, Bengals over 26.5 points.
All right, then we got the big pick, baby. Hey, well, I know that. Hey, people down here in the 513, since I tri-state, we loving that pick, JB. Loving that pick. Hopefully, it comes to fruition because we need to get that W. These goose eggs aren't doing it for us. Hartnett, what are you feeling over there, brother? I know you got a run of NFL picks here, man. I'm loving them.
Yeah, last week we went and we took a game that absolutely nobody wanted to take. We took the Broncos getting 7 points against Tampa Bay. They're getting 7.5 against the Jets, and people still aren't respecting Bo Nix, my man, aka Bo Picks. We're picking him this week to win again. He's of all the rookie quarterbacks, he looked like he was able to maintain that offense and just, dude, that defense is what's going to win them games and keep them close. And I think 7.5, as long as he's not making too many big mistakes, the Jets are probably going to beat them, but I could see them only beating them by a field goal or a touchdown. And 7.5, we're going to slide right in. I think the Jets have been playing well, but it's going to be hard for them to beat the team like Sean Payton and the Broncos by more than 7 here, I think. And I'm gonna take the 7.5 points. The Lions are laying 3.5 at home against Seattle. I think Seattle is way over their skis as an undefeated team. 3.5 is a great number here. Lay it. I think the Lions beat them up. I don't even think that game is even close. You heard me say this last week. You heard me say this the week before. You hear me say this every week. I think my favorite spot. I can't believe they laid this number. It's so disrespectful to Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1.5 points against Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson. Justin Fields is going to look like freaking Joe Montana out there next to Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is not a good quarterback. Justin Fields has become a game manager, and if you've been watching the way that guy's played, it's pretty impressive that he has gone from the player that he was in Chicago to the player that he currently is now, because he is an absolute game manager and he's able to read everything like in a way that he wasn't able to do when he was in Chicago. And Mike Tomlin is just I can't quit Mike Tomlin, bro. Guys made me too much money in my life, bro. And Mike Tomlin is a dog, or anything even close to a dog, I'm gonna take it. And this team's 3-0. I'm thinking about even taking a future on them to win the Super Bowl right now, just because they're the best defense in the league. And this defense is going to win games by themselves. There's no way Anthony Richardson's not throwing a pick. TJ Watt's going to drive him absolutely insane. And yeah, they're going to run the ball down their throat. The Steelers are the absolute slam spot once again this week. And if they give it to us again next week, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I really don't know, bro. I really don't know, because it's going to be a lot of money at that point. That really might do something crazy. So let's keep banging the Steelers, keep making that money. It's my favorite spot on the board. I like a dog. I like the Bills getting 2.5 at Baltimore. Yeah, I think Josh Allen, this might be his year for just a standout MVP season, where at the end of the year, nobody's going to even question who the MVP is. It's going to be Josh Allen. The way he performed against Jacksonville, I think you're going to see a lot of that again here on Sunday night. And he's going to carry that team and put him on their back. And there's no way they're walking out of there. I think they win outright, but give me the 2.5 points.
Well, I know, Hardy, you talked about, the first time you dropped in with us, it was episode 2. You pretty much said, watch the Bills and Josh Allen for video game type numbers all year long. They're supporting you. They're making you look like a very, very wise man there. When do you see the fall, though? I mean, this could be a potential big trap game for them.
No, it's not. It's not. I think Baltimore's defense got a really good reputation over like the last 2 decades, and it's not at the same level that it was. And yeah, they got Derrick Henry now, but there's a certain game script that Derrick Henry works in, and the way Josh Allen's going to have that ball moving, and good luck keeping him off the field. Good luck trying to slow the game down. I don't think you're going to be able to. I think Josh Allen's just going to be lighting it up, and the Bills' defense is I think significantly better than the Baltimore defense. I think the Bills' defense is top 5 unit in the league. I think the Steelers are the best, but I think the Bills on any given day could be the best defense in the league. You know what I mean? They're a top 5 unit for sure. And I think look at all the other teams they've just beaten, made look stupid. You know what I mean? And like, we're ready to fire Doug Peterson. He can come out and look really good this week, maybe make me look stupid, but it could have just been the Bills. So I think the Bills are for real. And to get them at dog money here, I think everybody's just overrating the market, overreacting to the win against Dallas, which was just like JB said, just a really good matchup for them where the run defense is really weak and Buffalo has a good defense, so I think they'll be able to stop the run. And Lamar Jackson, he's not the same as he used to be in his MVP caliber, I don't think, anymore. Josh Allen, I think this is MVP year for him. So I'm gonna ride the MVP. Josh Allen, let's go. It's not gonna be Sam Darnold. Do you think it's gonna be Sam Darnold? Come on, baby. Josh Allen, ride it. 2.5. Let's go.
I do have a question for the both of you guys before we wrap up. If Ravens do lose this game, is it time to hit the panic button for them?
Yeah. I mean, look at the Steelers. Steelers are rolling. Steelers could be 4-0, right, after this game. So they're at a point where if they lose this game, right, they're 1-3, and they're looking at who's up next for them on the schedule.
They got Bengals. They got and that's in Cincinnati. They got the Commanders. They got the Bucks, Browns. They got the Broncos. They got the Bengals again, obviously. Then they got the Steelers. They got the Eagles. Steelers again, of course. So they got a tough schedule, man.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily it is a cause for hit a panic button, but it is a let's step back, reassess where we're at, what's working, what's not. Even if they lose here, they're at 1-3. Sure, it's not. If Pittsburgh goes up, they're sitting 4-0. Even if they have that one loss, there's that mountain to climb there. But as you're looking at the division, you're still sitting there with a one-loss Browns, with a 1-win Browns team, potentially only a 1-win Bengal team. So you still have those, that second tier, the rest of that division, and it's a pretty weak schedule inside of itself. There still is time to get it right. They made the playoffs. Was it 2 years ago without Lamar Jackson? So, I mean, They have got the personnel. They have got the coaching staff. The NFL right now, we look at these teams that are 3-0. It might not be because of the personnel. Across, you look at the top teams that are undefeated, it's because of coaching. And they do have proven coaching there. So if they can get things right, I don't think it's time to panic. But it is, hey, we got to reassess what we're doing. Maybe the preseason predictions, all that hype isn't there. Let's change our direction and find a new flight path for Ravens football.
I saw, the Steelers, just the way they've been playing too. Dude, they're playing championship football, man. I know I've been talking about it, but God damn, I saw another stat. It was Mike Tomlin against quarterbacks inside their first 10 starts in the league. Dude, he wins at like a 75% clip. He absolutely torments these guys. It's going to be so rough for Indianapolis. I just see them going 4-0 and just putting this division and everybody else on notice. I think all the lines on the Steelers after this week are going to change dramatically. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to pick it this easy, for the rest of the year. This is layups, dude. You're giving me layups every week with the Steelers, and like, I'm taking it. They've covered the spread every week. They're winning outright every week, and I just don't see it stopping anytime soon. I'm not even a Steelers fan, but I sound like one right now. It's amazing. But
and with the Ravens, and they're not looking at the spread, things like that, or they're looking about what's in front of them. They have had a tough early schedule, so they're going to get that lull. They're going to play some of those weaker knockoffs that they better perform. You win those games, you should win. You have to win those games. I think they're okay, even sitting at 1-3. Still not a need to panic. A lot of pizza left in the box to get to those 7 playoff spots.
Even like the Chargers, the way they beat the Chargers this week, like, I don't know if you watched that game, but like the first half of that game was so much fun to watch from like a smash mouth football perspective, with these two teams just trying to see who can hit harder, on both sides of the football, just boom, 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 boom. And eventually it was the Steelers, obviously. But the way Harbaugh's got the Chargers playing, I didn't take it. I was leaning towards it, but they're getting 7 points. They're going to slow that game down. That's a lot of points to give Jim Harbaugh. I don't think it's going to be outside of a 1-score game. So if you can get it over 7.5, anywhere in a live number where you can get that, like, I would be taking those points, because the referees are going to end up giving the game to Kansas City in the end somehow, some way. But like, dude, like, Jim Harbaugh's got Kansas City. Has got the LA Chargers playing like some solid football. And depending on their injuries, because a lot of guys left that game hurt because of how physical that game was being played, if they're healthy enough to where most of their linemen are there, like, dude, that's going to be a really tough game for Kansas City to like pull away with it. And like, I just see it being a dogfight. Like, Jim Harbaugh ain't letting anybody get a free W, man. You ain't walking over Jim Harbaugh. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, there we are, Jen. We ran a little long here, but we will go ahead and get out of here for this week's episode of the Bottom Line Sports Talk. John Hartnett, thank you. JB, thank you. You guys will be in the chat over on Facebook. Mr. Thumbs Up now over there over on Facebook, the Hamin Media Group. Chat it up with our pro pickers, our HMG Pro Handicappers. Let us know your picks. We'll have those threads up. But right now, it is time for our Sports Pop of the Week. And JB, I swear we're not even planning this, but you have set me up once again perfectly here for our Pop of the Week. And it pertains to my own Bengals right here, guys. Joe Burrow is 0-3 since turning into a lesbian. Joey B, get it right this week. You can't let the rifle shoot you down, buddy.
Everything's before he was a lesbian.
Everything is on the line against the rifle. You got to own him in his home and bring it back to the jungle, baby. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Bottom Line Sports Talk. Smash that subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and make sure you get all those alerts. We'll see you next week.